So the first case that we're going to talk about is Alexis Sharkey. And I took some notes. Let me just get them. So Alexis Sharkey is the 26-year-old, beautiful, outgoing, educated IG model, IG content creator, IG influencer that went missing on Black Friday of 2020, and her nude body was discovered by the public works workers the following Saturday morning on the side of the Texas highway right down from the apartment where she and her husband were living. Alexis was originally from Pennsylvania, and that's where the rest of her family still lives. She graduated from college. She had a biology degree. She had 6 years of good grades in college, and she planned to take a year off and go to med school. She moved down south to Odessa, Texas. She had a job at Twin Peaks, and that's where one of her friends that worked with her introduced her to Tom Sharkey, who later became her husband. Tom was a lot older than Alexis. He was 23 years older than her, I believe. So he was in his upper 40s, she was in her lower 20s. And he travels for work, although nobody's really sure what his job title is or what exactly it is that he does or what company. But whatever it is, his work, he travels for it. Which was good because Alexis and Tom hit it off. They started dating. They were traveling around together. And 2018, Alexis got a job with an MLM company, Monet, and that allowed for her to work and travel. And she really liked it. She was great at it. And she's like probably one of the few who did really well at an MLM company. At one point, she even has an Instagram picture where she's holding up this huge check for $10,000. And it's alleged that she was making $10,000 a month on a regular basis. So she was doing really good. So apparently she was selling a lot of this Monet products. And Monet is like a hair care and beauty company, which was perfect for Alexis because she was beautiful and already had great skin and great hair. So she just really clicked with the company, and with her biology degree, she liked that stuff. She liked the organic makeup and organic, beauty products, and that was kind of her cup of tea. So she did really well with them. So June 2019, Alexis and Tom get engaged. She posts pictures all over Instagram. And what's strange is 6 months later, in December of 2019, they get married in a courthouse, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it just didn't seem like her style. There was no bachelorette party, no big princess wedding in a really cool destination, or there was none of that. It was kind of a hush-hush ceremony, and to look at the rest of her life and then look at that, it just seemed kind of out of character. She wasn't pregnant, there was no kids, so there was no reason to really make it that small, and if she was making all that money, then there was no, financial reason why, so it's just kind of strange. And there's also this really weird picture where she's in her wedding dress and Tom Sharkey's behind her, and I think she's getting her fitting, and it seems kind of strange that the husband would be there for the fitting. I know some people do that, but it just seemed kind of strange. Like, that was also kind of an out of tradition or out of character type thing. Usually the husband doesn't see the bride in her wedding dress until the wedding day, but maybe that's like a new thing. So a month after they get married, they move to Houston, Texas, and she already had a lot of friends from her Monet company and her other, previous jobs, Twin Peaks and stuff. She had a lot of friends, and she was a really outgoing, friendly person. But she moved to Houston and she wanted to make some local friends, and so she got on the Bumble BFF app and she met Tanya. And when she met Tanya, it was within 2 weeks of moving to Houston. And so she goes to dinner, meets Tanya. Tanya brings a bunch more of her other friends, and so they had this big new group of friends that all got along with Alexis and loved Alexis and brought her into their group. So now she's got a whole new group of friends that are local that she can call and hang out with, go to movies and hang out at their houses and stuff, have girls' time. So most of 2019 and 2020, Alexis was traveling. She posted tons of pictures on Instagram and all these really cool destinations and swimming with the stingrays and driving a big boat, like really awesome lifestyle stuff that she was getting to do for 2019 and most of 2020. And then in July, she actually posted a picture on Instagram where it was the first like strange one that she said her husband was kind of criticizing the way that she looked, and that he said that she had a shadow over her upper lip that looked like a Hitler stash. And yes, that was just kind of strange. That he had to be looking really close because I'm kind of blind, but I mean, you had to really be looking at the picture to even see that. I mean, anyway, so that was kind of strange. And then in October, they posted really cute Viking pictures where they look like they're like the Viking couple, really cute. And then beginning of November, she actually goes on a girls' trip with her friend Lauren. They go to Martha, Texas, and that's where she confides in Lauren and tells Lauren that Tom has been physical with her and that she fears for her safety and that he has had a repetitive issue with when they get into an argument, he's putting his hands on her and choking her to the point of passing out, and she wakes up nude on her bathroom floor. And this has happened on much more than one occasion, and that she fears for her safety. Apparently, she only told maybe Lauren and maybe one other friend. She didn't tell her mom. Nobody else knew. And she also told them that she planned on filing for divorce from Tom. She was going to divorce Tom and leave him, and that was in her near future plans. Now that the cause of death has come out, and it's strangulation as of January 19th, the fact that that's the cause of death and that she was found nude just seems like a big coincidence. If it, just seems like that's a big coincidence if it's not who we think it is, which everything's alleged. There's no definite proof, but it just seems really strange that's how that she was found. Now, since the cause of death has been released, there's been no comment from Tom Sharkey at all. And some texts were released from another girls' trip where they said Tom was being strange. He was upsetting Alexis. He was calling her needy and gaslighting her, basically. And he would sign the text, "Your ex-husband." So the fact that he told the media and the police that there was no problem in their marriage, they were happy, there was no issues, and that everybody was wrong for speculating that there was. It just seems kind of strange. She also told some of her friends, that she planned to divorce him. So, I mean, obviously things were not what he tried to make them seem. On the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, she spoke with her mom and made plans to visit for Christmas. As far as we know, Tom was not included in those plans. She made plans to visit with her mom because she hadn't seen the rest of her family since Christmas of 2019 because of COVID. Apparently that was maybe because of her mom, Stacy, and COVID, because Alexis was traveling. She wasn't really worried about COVID, it didn't seem like. So I guess to protect her mom and dad and keep the rest of the family safe, maybe she didn't travel for all of 2020 to go see them, but we know Alexis was traveling. But she hadn't seen the rest of her family since Christmas of 2019. So they made plans, and they still needed to finalize her flight and plane ticket and things like that, but she did plan on going to see them. And as far as we know, Tom was not going. And on Thursday, Thanksgiving, she spent that with Tanya and Tanya's family at Tanya's house. And then around midnight that night, she left and went to the bar with someone named Seb. There's rumors that this was her new boyfriend or whatever, but that's just speculation. We don't have any proof of that, so it's all alleged. She just went to the bar with Seb, and they were there for a couple hours. Around 3 a.m., she messaged Tanya, asked Tanya if she was up, but of course Tanya was not, so she didn't write her back. So around 3:45 to 4, Alexis went home to her apartment, and Tanya didn't write her back until about 7:30 in the morning. And at 7:30, Tanya wrote her back and said that she was up now and was Alexis okay. And Alexis wrote her back, and allegedly Alexis. We don't know for sure if that was Alexis, but Alexis's phone wrote back to Tanya and told her that no, she was fine, that she didn't realize what time it was when she wrote her. And so then Tanya writes her and says, well, I can bring you your stuff, because apparently Alexis left some of her belongings at Tanya's house when she left to go to the bar. So Tanya offered to bring them home to her, and Alexis said no, that she would pick them up from her later. And I have a whole timeline here. So Alexis asked Tanya if she's going out around 5:45 p.m. and Tanya says no, that her family's still there. And Alexis says, okay, well, I don't have any plans either, but I just realized it's Friday. And Tanya replies back to her about 6:05, and it shows as read, but Alexis doesn't say anything else. And then around 6:28, Alexis sends a message to Seb, and that was her last outgoing text. There was no more. From 7 to 7:30, Tom says that he's searching for Alexis and that he loses service and he goes and sits at a gas station for 2 hours, because that's what you do when your spouse is supposedly out on foot, walking around barefooted, and they've been drinking. You go sit at the gas station for 2 hours. So it's all alleged. Right now we don't have any evidence that that's where he was or what he was doing, but apparently that's what he says that he was doing. So we need that footage from the gas station to see if he actually was there, if he was there for 2 hours, or what exactly went on. Around 9:30 p.m., Tom messages Chelsea's boyfriend on Facebook to ask if they've seen Alexis. And around 10:06, Sebastian messages Alexis to say that he's off work. And then 11 p.m., Chelsea's boyfriend calls Tom back, and from 11 to 11:45, John's talking to Tom and trying to figure out where Alexis might be. And some friends said that they were a little suspicious about the text that they got on Friday as to whether or not they were Alexis, but others said it seemed normal that, they were just short text messages that, could have been Alexis. They didn't know for sure. Now the police are working on her phone records, but that can take 6 to 8 weeks. So they're still working on that, but they can use the pings in the cloud to determine the location when those texts were sent and if that could have even been Alexis sending those messages. Toxicology. There's been rumors that this could have been an OD case, and the preliminary toxicology has shown that that is not the case with this, that's not what caused this, that it was the strangulation, that she wasn't, full of anything or had any massive amounts of any substances, or that she OD'd. That's not at all what is indicated. So what happened while Tom supposedly was at the gas station and this and that was 9:30 on Friday night, and then Saturday morning, Tanya hadn't heard from Tom, even though he called Chelsea and her boyfriend, but Tanya, her best friend, had not heard from Tom and did not know that Alexis was missing. So at the point that she realizes that there's been no post on social media from Alexis for over 12 hours, she realizes this is not right. This is not normal. This is not Alexis. So she tries to call her and text her, but she doesn't get any responses. So she then goes to Alexis's apartment Saturday morning, and she is knocking on the door and doesn't get anybody. So she waits outside for a little while, and then she finally decides that she's going to call Alexis's mom, Miss Stacy, and let her know that she can't get a hold of Alexis. Meanwhile, at 8 a.m. on that Saturday morning, that's when the public works workers spot feet sticking out from the bushes on the side of the road, and they think it's a mannequin. The guy that saw it calls it in to his supervisor and tells him, look, I don't know if this is a mannequin or an actual body, but I can't get out and look at it. I need you to check it out. So the boss comes out, checks it out, and said it was clearly the deceased body of a nude female in her early 20s, and they reported to the authorities. No visible injuries to her body. She was clean. Didn't look like she had walked there. Didn't look like she had been walking around barefooted or walking around nude down the highway. And there were no apparent injuries, so they didn't know what happened. And that's important because there are ways, especially if you're commonly in a DV situation, there are ways to injure the other person without leaving marks. I've been there, done that. I didn't personally do it to anyone, but I've been a part of that. And people like that know what to do to not leave a mark so that you look like an idiot when you say, well, this person's been doing this to me. And so there are ways that if you use certain body parts, especially if you're a big buff guy, you could use your forearm, or you could use this, or you could use this and push it into the person, and it's not going to leave a mark on the outside for anybody to see. So, yeah. So, meanwhile, while the public works are discovering the body. They don't know who it is. It's a Jane Doe. They take it to the morgue to do an autopsy and to try to figure out who it is. And meanwhile, Tom calls Alexis's mom, says they can't find Alexis, and apparently he and Tanya are still not talking to each other because Tanya also calls her mom and says, hey, we can't find Alexis. And they're both looking for her but can't find her. And not sure where Tom was at this point because Tanya went to their apartment and didn't get anybody. So we don't know if Tom was inside or if he's out still looking for Alexis. Not sure. So on Sunday, Tom goes down to the morgue, even though no one called him to say that Jane Doe might be his wife. He says he saw it on the news that there was a Jane Doe, and since he couldn't find Alexis, he thought maybe that was her, and he went and ID'd the body. So Tom then makes some Facebook post, and we won't even get on that, but Tom makes some Facebook posts, and everyone gets rubbed the wrong way by these posts, and he gets a lot of hate for them, as well as Tanya makes some Facebook posts, and she gets a lot of hate for him as well. Meanwhile, the full investigation's going on. They're trying to figure out what happened and try to get stories straight from everybody. So at first, Tom's cooperating with the police and trying to, just a minute. Okay. So meanwhile, at first Tom is cooperating with law enforcement and the family, and he's talking to Alexis's mom and everything, he's doing what he can to be helpful, and then he just stops. And he's no longer cooperating with the law enforcement. He's no longer cooperating with the investigation. He's not talking to her mom. And according to an interview that Alexis's mom gave, she had a lot of trouble changing the next of kin so that she could get Alexis back home to give her a proper burial. And Alexis was in a freezer for 2 weeks while Tom was not cooperating, and he just left her there. I don't know how you could do that to your spouse, especially, if you love them and something happened. I don't know how or why, but so Alexis' mom said that she had to really fight to get the next of kin changed so that she could bring her daughter home and give her a proper burial. And so she did. And meanwhile, Tom is rumored now to be living in his car and no longer cooperating with law enforcement. So we're not sure what that means. We don't know, what the case is gonna turn into, but they're still working on it. They're still trying to piece everything together, and they're still working on the phone records. So hopefully when they get that will shed some light as to what actually went on that night. So that's all I have for now. I'll let you know as soon as I hear anything else or there's any more updates to the case. And yeah, so if you guys like this kind of video, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe. And there's more coming because the world's crazy. There's lots of crazy cases out there. I'm going to be talking about the 2 little boys in Cal City that are missing. And I'll also hit on the Chris Watts case And there's some more. I can't think of them right now, but yeah. So we're gonna be doing some of these true crime cases, and just let me know what you think, and if you like this kind of thing. Thanks.